think it's time to talk about markings. So here we go. In 2001, an article was circulated based on a paper written by a naval officer about addressing the fighter gap that the U.S. Navy was facing. And that paper basically suggested, and this is pretty outlandish, that the U.S. Navy buy Russian equipment. I remember reading this article in Air Forces Monthly in Sherman Oaks, California, in the Barnes & Noble. I had just moved to Los Angeles, and at the time, it didn't actually occur to me to buy the magazine. Oh, how I wish I had. What if the U.S. Navy, in the early 2000s, let's say 2004, 2005, as the F-14 is going away, decided to upgrade its NSAWC Top Gun capabilities to Russian fourth generation, I believe, fighters at that point, and bought Su-35s. So that brings us to where we are here and now. Fightertown Decals 48077, second release, first release, both sold out like crazy. I promised, I think, for 5 years now that Fightertown Decals will re-release this sheet, and in some way, shape, or form in the future, we will. All the things have gotten in the way. But what we're looking at here is number 10, NSAWC's Blue Splinter Tomcat Sukhoi, and I love this airplane. I built this airplane in the great modeling rush of 2020 with the COVID shutdown, and I had already done a good chunk of it, but finished it up. Not only did I do, this side is the Top Gun side. You can see Top Gun markings on it. And what I love is we found the names that were on the canopy for a brief period of time before they switched canopies to an all gray one. And then if we turn it around on this side, we have the NSAWC markings, which I will say this is going to just flat out my favorite camo Tomcat of all time. So that being said, we are jumping now to 2025. What's going to be so funny about this is that the Splinter Tomcat was based off of the Su-35, basically the early Su-35, which was an Su-27M, I believe, and they had a, was it 902, 901 or something like that, and I'll see if I can find a picture of that for you, but that's what Top Gun, when Tom Trotter was the skipper of, in 1996, based their new F-18s 46 and 42 on. So that then translated that the Tomcat, I know it's getting a lot of history, but the Tomcat was in the powder puff shortly before that, and then the Tomcat Splinter came along. So we are building an Su-35, and what I have here is trying to figure out how to do those camouflage markings. And since no one makes them, I was going to do it, but I don't have an Su-35 profile. Let's just go ahead and take our airplane, right? And then once we get it together, we'll put down masking tape, Tamiya tape on it, like in big sheets, like maybe like the big chunks here, and then kind of trace out the pattern that I want to do in pencil, and then cut that and then replace it. That sounded like a lot of work. And then I went through my stash and I found another Su-35 that I really want to build is Blue 901, this prototype demo in just the coolest yellow, brown, and green. So when I look at the two camouflages, let's see, let's look at the side pages. Those patterns are pretty close. So I guess what I'm saying I'm going to do, let's do this. Let's just use these markings and paint it on the flanker. Now, I have the Aero Mask set, which is super cool, but the Aero Mask set, I don't believe is set up for the Great Wall Hobby Kit, and you have to paint the dark sections first, mask those, and then work your way towards the lighter, which is the greater area. So now that could work, except, as you've already seen, I've painted the light blue on here, which is going to be the biggest color on this airplane. So can't use this. I'll hold on to this for later. That gives me this Galaxy set, which comes with decals. I'm gonna have to buy a second set basically because I still want to do 901, but this gives me the opposite markings so I can paint the blue and then add the other colors. So let's take a real quick look in here. These sets are they're really nicely done. I grabbed these from Lucky Model, And looks like I'll be ordering another one because I still want to do this one. But you can see here, it gives you the masks outside. Now, this outer tail here, that is not going to work for what I want to try and do. We look at our Tomcat here and the outer tail here, those don't match, but that I think is a pretty easy pattern to do by, you know, just by masking tape. And that's it. So that is what I'm going to do, folks. It's going to be a U.S. Navy flanker, or yeah, Su-35 digital camo. Woo! And that's where we're at. I just finished kind of doing some of the weathering on the bottom side, and I think we're about ready to do some assembly. Thanks for joining me tonight. Have a wonderful evening, folks. It's Sunday night for me, so tomorrow morning it is back to school for the little one, and I'll see what I can get done during the day. Peace out. Addendum. Just in case people out there are going to ask if I have any spares of this sheet. No, I don't. I sold the spares long ago. Sorry, everybody. I have one complete sheet for myself that I'm keeping, and I have two partial sheets. You can see here, this one has already been chopped up for the Iranian Tomcat. So, and I sent somebody the Top Gun Maverick markings as well. So, sorry, just to let you know before you get excited out there, there's no spares or extras of this, and I'm going to keep what I have for my build. So, be excellent to one another, and I hope I can get this back to you, everybody, soon. Bye-bye. Welcome back, everybody. We're doing some assembly here, and what I have found is with these intakes, these tabs fit in the holes pretty well, but they need a little bit of help. Unfortunately, as I was doing this, I decided to open the holes instead of the tabs. Bad idea. The only thing is, if you're going to open the holes, great. Do not do that, as you can see here, from the part of the body that's going to be visible. Do it on the inside. Keep working at it. I kept doing this. I couldn't figure out why this part was just not fitting in there. And then I finally realized that it was right here was my biggest problem, and that was the FAB intakes just butted up too high. So once I got rid of that, it fits in there pretty well. On the other side, let's see how I did. The outside worked pretty well. It's this inside that took a little bit of work to clean things up. And then once I did that, well, it worked really well until I put the intake on. So let's take a look. And there it's going to be, folks. That is going to be the spot right there. So we got to remove that, and then we should have a nice clean fit. Everything's done up and weathered. So we're going to assemble all these things now, and then top to bottom will come later. So, and that is just going to take that. I believe that is all we need. There we go. Much better fit. All right, unfortunately, like trying to film this and glue it at the same time was just not really working. So while I'm holding this, I started up at the front here. I glued in sections. So that for that, and then back here, I just glued it from the inside. All right, you get the idea. Work smarter, not harder, not like my camera. Let the masking begin, and good morning. Welcome to today. We are going to mask up. Look at what we have here. We have our guidelines, a little bit of a look at what the Tomcat would look like. Here's what the flanker is going to look like, and let's start off with our right tail. So we go over here. We're looking for number 68. Here's our sheet. Here's number 68. And I don't know about you, but it's about as easy to see these pieces on camera as it is in real life. So, yeah, I guess we just, kind of start with it here. I think that's the right piece. Now, it says to use the transfer sheet, put the transfer sheet, and then put it on here. I, however, am going to go, I don't know about the easy way, but this way, and just line it up. So let's do this. I think the easiest thing is to go right to the corner here. The nice thing is I don't need this really to be like 100% exact. Ta-da! There you go. That gives you an idea of what we're dealing with. And so that's going to mask the light blue, and then we're going to go paint the dark blue and gray. I love this. All right, I'm going to snap my fingers, and it's going to be done as soon as we come back. Boom shakalaka. At least one is. And while I'm doing this, one thing I'm finding is that this is the perfect use for my Annie's super fine tweezers. Whew, look at those babies. So this is a great way spot to use these on, so you can just grab with barely any surface tension on there and then place it exactly where you want it. All right. Oh. All right, let's try this again. All right, now that we got the corner in, let's go ahead and unroll the edge here. And, well, you know what? Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's good enough. One thing I notice is that the ink from these letters and numbers rubs off. And that's just the way it is. I'm not also worrying about these pitot tube static wicks on the back because I've got some of the metal ones from Master that I'm going to be using. All right, there is the next piece. We're almost done. Just like the entire airplane. There you go. Just like the entire airplane there to go. So close. And here we are a couple of hours later. Yeah, oh my God. Oh, that was a few hours. I don't even know how many, but probably a good 3 hours or so working on this. Some cool things. It's mostly done. I don't have the front end done because I need to do the canopy, and that's going to require a little bit of polishing and dipping before we mask that. The other thing, so I got the tails done up here, but check this out. I masked for the light blue to paint the other colors, but unfortunately, I never painted these light blue. So I just masked bare plastic. So I'm going to paint them the other colors, and then we'll reverse mask based off this. So yeah, I just made more work for myself, but should have painted those to begin with. Anyways, that is how things look. It's time to go pick up the little one from daycare. Have a beautiful day, everybody. That was day 4, I do believe, 4 or 5. All right, I got most of the thing masked off. I want to get painting, so I'm not going to worry about the front up here, but on the back area, you got to cover up the areas that are not getting painted. So I'm going through with some tape and a fair amount of just vinyl sheet here. I've got a whole bunch of this using my reference card here. Yellow is light blue, green is medium or is dark ghost gray, and brown is 35-109 aggressor blue. So it's a little tricky. You kind of have to remember what's what, but the marking job is complete, and we're going to get ready to paint. But I just want to point out a couple things here real quick. I went ahead and did a little bit of kind of my own custom masking along the way here, a little bit more representative of what the F-14 had, and not quite the same what our instructions show here. That being said, it is time to take this baby and go do some painting finally. Here we are ready to paint, and the flanker doesn't fit in the paint booth. So we're gonna just do it as it is. Now, if I were to take you down here, look at that. There's a brand new spray booth that's wider and would work better, but all the mess. I am too lazy to set that up right now. So I'm gonna paint as is here, and let's get her done. All right, so as we do this, we gotta kind of reference and remember that green is gray in this case. So let's take a look. We're gonna go gray, 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 and gray all the way in the back. think you get the idea. I'll come back and show you the success. All right, while I'm doing this, normally I would come in here and do like a modeling layer to kind of build it up, but because the blue is solid, hopefully you can hear me, I'm going to go ahead, I'm not bombing it on by any stretch, but I'm going to go ahead and just coat the whole thing, and we'll deal with all the weathering after the fact. Okay, amid the clutter, this is it. It's done in terms of the dark ghost gray on the aircraft, and it looks good. Got some tails over here and stuff in the box down here. Two big questions are going to be, one, now that we're going to paint the blue, you can see that there's not a lot of, I mean, like this will be dark blue, right? But there's not a lot of space. I don't want to get any overspray. I don't want to come back and have to redo the gray. So, and I wanted to do it all right now today because I'm actually leaving town early in the morning, pick up the little one after daycare. So I really have a very short window, maybe less than a few hours to do all this today. So do I go ahead and paint it? The question is, what color? Now, the real color, of course, is Aggressor Blue. Here's SMS's bottle of it. I also have over here MRP's version of it. And you put the two of them together. Well, MRP's looks grayer, SMS's looks bluer, but it still doesn't look all that blue. So what I did back when I built the Tomcat flanker, I did this bottle here, custom mixed with AK Real Color and a little bit of blue as well. So this I love the color of. That's what I'm going for, and you can see, boom, those aren't the same. So I'm going to go ahead and try Aggressor Blue, but I also have with me here two other options to work from, and that's going to be, not that I'm going to paint this color, but I would use these colors to tint it a little bit. I got the original Blue Angel Blue from SMS, and then I also have SMS just straight up blue. So I have these two colors to go with Aggressor Blue to try and match this blue. So good times, here we go. Let's you know what I'm going to do, I'm going to test out just a little bit of Aggressor Blue, and then I'm going to add a drop or two of maybe just the blue and see what happens. My idea is then afterwards, once I figure out what I like, I'm going to tint this entire bottle so I don't have to deal with this again. Like I said, we're pressed for time, so let's paint. Get her on, get her done. Okay, first up, just a little straight Aggressor Blue. Let's just throw that on here and get ourselves a nice patch to work from. You know what? Actually, right off the bat, that actually looks better than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a little bit grayer, but that's actually pretty nice. I'm gonna add a drop of Blue Angels Blue and see what happens next. Actually, before we do anything, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of put that up against the paint that I have. That's a great mix, honestly. And then when I bring in my custom mix, whoa, that is really close. Oh boy, I may just use that. God, I almost want to put a touch of blue or a touch of Blue Angel Blue in there. Let's put a drop of Blue Angel Blue, see what happens. And there you can see it is 3 drops to a half a cup. Let's see what it does. What I don't really want to do is have it darken anything up. It may not have added enough to make any difference. It makes a difference. Okay. Yeah. I kind of dig that. See if we get a little bit brighter light out here and hold it up to our test sample. That's pretty good. I might just go 1 drop of like royal blue here, straight up blue, and throw 1 drop in there. Hard to decide. I realize that the bottle that I have is like 80% gone already, so I'm gonna have to tint a whole new bottle and just hope that it works out just fine. So all right, let's see. That to that. It's a pretty good mix. You know what? I think we're good. Let's paint her up. All right, we're gonna have to be really careful here. No overspray. With this one, I am actually doing a modeling to it because it's blue on blue. I'm gonna give it a little bit of weathering as I do it. Also, I wanna get in a little bit closer is I do not want any overspray on the dark ghost gray. With my blue, I couldn't resist. I put 2 little drops of just straight blue in here. I mean, it would probably be, I don't know, 1%, I don't know, tiny little bit, but I just couldn't resist. And honestly, I really like the color. If anything, this whole color to me is a little bit too dark. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a little bit of white and lighten it up in the weathering phase. So let's just get it all down. I don't know that I made enough of this to cover all the areas I need, so which means I am going to have to make a second batch, which means it'll never be 100% the same. So after this, I'm going to take a brand new bottle of Aggressor Blue, add a few drops of Blue Angel Blue, a few drops of blue, and like 1 drop of, I would go white. I might even just go light gray just to not be pure white. But either way, all right, enough talking, more painting. Man, I'm loving this. I can't wait to see how it comes out. Quick interruption. She's looking really good. I did a great job. I didn't touch anything. I didn't screw anything up until I got right freaking there and fucking duck. That was Dark Ghost Gray. I painted it blue, and I figured it out in 1 coat. So that is going to have to be repainted. Oh, man, I thought we were going to get there. All right, we are back upstairs in headquarters, and the painting is complete. So my initial thoughts downstairs were it's too dark. At least the dark blue is too dark. And the dark ghost gray, well, we're going to have to evaluate it versus the light ghost gray. So let's do this. Let's take a look at dark ghost, light ghost right off the bat. Let's use our tails here. So we got our dark ghost gray right there in front of you, and on the bottom side we got light ghost gray. So put those two together, and there's a difference. That's about the way it really looks. From modeling standpoint, that's not a huge difference, but there's enough there to make it look good. The blue I really thought was a little bit too dark. Yeah, it looks too dark initially, but one thing to remember is I used all SMS paints on that. So I did just kind of peel up the bottom here, because if I am going to do a little bit of repaint, I don't want to mess with the masking, because I do not want to remask this one. I will never get it exact again, and it was a lot of hours work. So that balance actually looks pretty cool. Let's take a look again with light ghost gray underneath. But what I want to do now is bring in the original model, which this was painted with, oh crap, I just broke off the engine. How about that? Well, that's one little engine part. Okay, so this was originally painted in MRP. Well, originally it was painted in MRP paints. Ghost and 35 450, their superiority, these were both MRP, but I think the blue is AK. Is that demo, the color that I showed in the bottle earlier, it was mixed with some other colors, some other blue as well. So when we put these two together, check this out. The Tomcat is darker on all the colors. So I think the color balancing is good. Let's look at that right there. All right, boom. Let's check these out right now. So dark ghost gray, definitely darker from MRP than SMS. Same thing, air superiority blue. It's hard to tell. They're actually pretty close. But then our blue over here, in different lights it looks different, but Acura stuff is definitely darker than the SMS paints right there. So that is going to be the determining factor. I'm kind of tempted to go throw on some MRP dark ghost gray, just really lightly on top of what I have here. I don't know. I'll have to think about that for just a second. And chances are the next time you see me, I'll be back down the paint booth doing that. The other thing I want to do is come in with a lighter version of the dark blue and fade that out. All right, I think that might be about it for me, folks. I'm off to a little mini vacation for the next week. We'll check in with you after that.